Welcome to Around the 412. We are part of AllSteelers.com and proudly presented by Crowworthy, where winners are serving winners coast to coast with sports, gambling, fantasy, and more. You can follow Crowworthy at Crowworthy Takes on Twitter and visit us at crowworthy.com. You can also check out the Crowworthy Pittsburgh City page for podcasts just like this one, blogs by us and others, and more. I'm Tyler, and with me as always is Smitty. With us tonight is Pittsburgh artist Alex Nicholson. Alex, what's going on, man?
What's going on, guys? Appreciate you guys letting me come on the show.
Yeah, Absolutely. We're happy we could get the video figured out too.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's an honor to have you on here, man. Like every time that you put out a piece of art and you tag us, I'm just honored that you even think of us as somebody that you want to tag in the piece. And then when you reached out to me about coming on, I was like, yeah, this is great. You were honestly somebody that I thought about reaching out to anyways. Like I mentioned, we've had Cody on here before, so it's only right that we get you on as well to talk about this stuff. So we want to talk about your artwork, obviously, but just give us a little bit of background about yourself first.
Yeah. So I've been drawing my whole entire life, really. It was really within the last couple of years I started getting into like specific portraits, really capturing facial features and things like that. It was about halfway through college. I started drawing. I think I drew a Sidney Crosby, just a few players, just their faces, and realized I had some talent kind of going for me. And over time, just like studying YouTube artists and just each and every single piece, trying to make them better every single time. And I kind of just fell in love with it, and it's easy to improve with things that you fall in love with. So I fell in love with it a couple years ago. It just seems like the more and more I do it, the more enjoyable it is and the better they turn out. So it's been a really fun ride.
So you're saying if you love something, you eventually become good at it. I mean, we love podcasting. How much longer do you think we got to wait until we're pretty good at this then?
Hey, you guys are pretty good already, man.
No, but like growing up, like people will always put just like a pen, a pencil in our hands, colored pencil, markers as kids, just let you go be creative. At what age do you like realize, oh, like I'm pretty good at this? Like look to your left, look to your right. I'm much better than either of these kids in between, like on the other side of me.
I mean, well, I have stories like my grandparents would tell me when I was, a little kid. I'd be drawing on like a Magnadoodle thing, and they'd kind of be like, "You drew that?" Like, 5-year-old kid kind of deal. So yeah. I kind of always knew. And then during like art classes growing up in school, I was, kind of just practicing my expertise there too. I always knew I kind of had something, but I got to be honest, like, unless you put the effort in and the extra work in, I mean, there's weekends where I'm camping in my basement drawing for hours and hours and studying different people and what they do to capture different detail and things. So, I mean, it's been so fun. Like there's times where for a while I struggled with beards. You can imagine how thin the hair is sometimes, and so I was on YouTube for days at a time just thinking, how do I capture a good looking beard? And that turned out to be, it's probably one of my strong suits now, so it's just cool how you kind of find these things and improve upon them.
Like with Sidney Crosby, dude, just the right amount of scruff because there's not much there. So
I'll say you mentioned good looking beards. His isn't that good looking of a beard.
People told me I've been pretty generous with the beard, but yeah, I mean, it's tough to make it look patchy, but I just tell him, it's the Cup final, and he has a nice one.
That's what I was about to say. Playoff beard said.
Absolutely.
So like a couple pieces in particular, I know you have some sitting right by you. I mean, what are your favorite ones that you've done? I know that you've had some pieces that you've also done for like athletes, like the Cam Hayward piece and such. So, I mean, what's like the one that stands out to you? Like if someone asks, hey, let me see some of your work.
I would say the Cam one, to be honest.
Okay.
Because that one that was two faces. It contained so much meaning too. That's what really was important to me. And his mom, Charlotte, really made that known to me that, this is an important piece. He loves his father and this and that. So I spent so much time on that one. I don't want it to be perfect because it was really like my first encounter with a pro athlete, to be honest, through this business. So and I feel like I really took my time and did my best with that one. But I got to be honest, like when it comes to pieces that I am extremely proud of, it's those things that I like really want to draw. And I bleed black and gold. And so anytime anybody asks me to draw something, whether it be Sid or Clemente or whoever it is, I mean, I'm all for it. I'd rather do that than party on a weekend for sure.
That's awesome. So like with the Cam piece then, did his mom reach out to you like looking for you to do that then?
She did, yeah. So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the Big Ben I drew. So I drew that one.
Mm-hmm.
And his Twitter page retweeted it. And so it kind of went all over the place. And after that, I got a random message from her, and it was funny. So the name's like Shar Hayward on Twitter. And she was like, "Hey, I was wondering if you could do a portrait for my son Cam." And I'm like, "Okay, your last name's Hayward and your son's name's Cam." So
I like how she casually says that. For my son Cam, you know.
I'm like, "Are you like the Cam Hayward's mom?" And so it started from there, and she gave me a call, and we were able to organize something for Christmas morning. So pretty cool experience.
Now, what is the process of doing this? Because I'm sure it's in like stages to make this one complete work. So like, what does that process look like?
So there's a lot of detail along with it, but to keep it kind of short and sweet, what I do is I create like a grid. So, you know, if you were to send me a picture, say one of you guys took a selfie, right, and you emailed it to me, and you said,
"That's
hey,
what I'm going to do after this, actually."
I would then scale it out using like a thin Sharpie. So every like half inch would then become a full inch on a canvas. And so I have a bunch of thin lines of pencil. I learned this in high school. Shout out to Mike Short. He's my art teacher. Just like totally basically break up the canvas into little like grids, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And label them like A1, A2. And all you got to do is draw what's in the square, man. And it all comes together like a puzzle.
Okay.
So, and it takes a long time. Sometimes it takes me weeks, you know. Overall, it's about 25 to 40 hours, somewhere within there.
Now, I actually did that in middle school, but I could tell you for sure, your final pieces look way better than mine did. I did a picture of Lil Wayne.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and I got to say I was pretty proud of it. But then when you say you do the same method for yours, I'm like, yeah, mine is total crap.
I feel bad here because Mike, who's in the YouTube chat, actually just said, "Is this art for sale?" And that's a great segue. Let's just talk about that right now, because Alex, you just recently launched a website as well.
I sure did, yeah. So first of all, my website, if you have a pen and paper, it's Portraits by Nicholson.
I'll put it in the comments as well. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, portraitsbynicholson.com, and that literally just launched a day or two ago. And so as of right now, some of the payment methods are kind of like slowly progressing. Like we're getting into being able to use credit card and things like that. But what you will see there is every piece I've done pretty much that I have available for sale. You'll find both prints and originals. Prints are going to be a lot cheaper. They're obviously copies, but I will promise you, as I'll show you a couple examples here. This one here is a print of Crosby.
Oh wow! See, look at that. That is Game 7 Stanley Cup beard right there.
Yeah, it does not include this. Does not include this autographed piece of the jersey though. That's mine.
Ah, dang it!
Yeah.
All right, that's fair.
That's an example of print. And then this is an example of an original of Mario and Yager. So, as you can see, my main point in showing you that is the prints turn out the same way as the originals, just obviously less authentic. And if you're looking to kind of decorate your basement or decorate your home office or whatever it is, they'll look great there. So on that site, you'll see prints and you'll see originals, and all my contact info is on there. So please feel free to reach out any which way you so choose, and I'll be more than happy to help you out. And I also ship straight to your door, so you don't even have to move a muscle.
I was gonna wait until we were off here and then just reach out to you, but I might as well just tell you now. My plan is actually to buy one for myself for my basement here, but I also want to buy one to use as a giveaway for the show. So anybody that's out there listening, if you want to, Alex, what's your favorite number?
Favorite number?
Yes, favorite number.
6.
Okay, so anybody watching or listening to this, DM us the number 6, and in the next 24 hours, we'll pick a winner. So they're going to have to watch or listen to this to be able to get that secret number in order to be able to win the print. Oh, by the way, Gregory Polanco solo shot just now off Musgrove.
Oh, goodness.
Wow, now he's batting like 170.
No, but seriously, that's awesome. Portraitsbynicholson.com. I have it there in the comments as well, so you can find that. But I don't even know how to word this question because I'm also curious just about like incorporating the colors as well. Like, how different is it, if it is, from using just like a grayscale, I think it's called, if you will, similar to like how tattoo artists call it, grayscale, versus using colors?
It's hard, but at the same time, it could really make things pop, if that makes sense. So I'm going to let you in on a little secret here. I'm actually partially colorblind, which is kind of wild.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I think me being colorblind growing up really made me pay attention to detail like vividly, if that makes sense. But the major difference with color is, so say you're doing a Caucasian person and use a light peach pencil. You know, you have to blend that with some pinks, some browns, maybe if there's a beard, maybe some black, you know what I mean? Versus on the other end where you got to blend brown skin with some darker colors and lighter tints and stuff like that. So it's very meticulous, but it's also a lot of fun because you can really make it look like it's kind of popping off the page, if that makes sense. Like sometimes people are like, whoa, is that like a picture? You know? And it can be pretty cool.
Yeah. Now I'm just like taken back by the whole partially colorblind thing. So like, what is that? Because I know somebody that's like fully colorblind, but like when you're partially colorblind, how does that? So like, what do you see? Like,
all I know
not
is when I was young, I took a colorblind test at my doctor, and I couldn't. I don't know if you guys have ever done that, but they show you like a number within a color collage, and I couldn't see any numbers. So they were like, "Yeah, you're pretty colorblind," and so I believe I'm blue-green deficient, which I kind of have to. There's times where I'll run upstairs and ask my parents, like, "Hey, you know, what color is this shirt this kid's wearing?" Because I have to draw it, and they'd be like, "Oh, it's like a light purple or whatever." And so that could be a struggle sometimes, but it also kind of forces me to really pay attention to detail.
Well, I guess it's pretty good that the Pittsburgh Steelers, Penguins, Pirates, they're all black and gold. So you don't have to worry about colors for the jerseys at least.
So Alex, who are some inspirations, if you will? Because I mean, I'm sure that you have them. Even if like when people ask us that, there's like inspirations that we don't even realize that we have. Just like subconsciously, we have inspirations. But for you, who would you say have been your inspirations along the way?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, my art teacher from high school. I remember showing up. I went to West Allegheny, so I remember showing up to freshman art class and just seeing the stuff that he would be able to do. And I'd be like, dude, there's no way I'm going to get to that level, and he just consistently supported me and consistently was helping me out. I was that kid that would, get a pass every day from study hall to go visit him and draw with him, So he definitely inspired me to really master this kind of stuff or to try to. And as a result too, which is kind of crazy, I kind of developed the same style as he had because he taught me on everything he knew. And so together to this day, we paint murals together at like churches, businesses and things. So that's definitely one. And the other one is definitely Cody Sable. Shout out to Cody.
I'll have to send him this.
Yeah. He's just seeing what he does. It's so cool. He lives the dream. He gets to go around and meet all these athletes, do paintings for them. And I went to a church service one time. He was painting things upside down and flipping it over on stage. And I'm proud of him and I'm proud of everything he's accomplished. And so he's definitely inspired me to really take it to the next level the best that I can.
I'm glad you said take to the next level because I was just saying, like, for him, it's not even just in Pittsburgh now. I don't know if you saw he did the thing for Jordan Stahl's 1,000th game in Carolina. Yep. Like, for him to do something like that for somebody outside of Pittsburgh, obviously, some Pittsburgh ties with Stahlsy starting his career here, but, like, that's insane. But I didn't, not related, but I didn't realize, you said you went to West A?
I did.
And how old are you?
I'm 24.
Okay. Well, I'm 25, and I don't think that you know where I went to school. If you did, I'm not sure that you would have agreed to come on here. I went to Central Valley. Central Valley. So I'm
Did you play
I'm a
football?
Monaca. No, I did not. I didn't play by the time we got to high school, but I'm a Monaca kid. So we merged with Center, became Central Valley. But yeah, West A became a great rival for us following the merge. So that's funny. But going along, you said like about, I was going to ask, my next question was going to be, you mentioned like painting murals and stuff like that. If there was anything outside of just the drawing in terms of forms of art that you were into.
Yeah, painting was a big one from high school, and the murals is probably about as far as I would say that I go outside of drawing. I mean, I draw tattoos, I draw houses, I draw pets. You know, if you go on that website, you'll see everything I've done for Christmas gifts and things like that. Basically, if you give me a picture, I can draw it with a pencil. But as far as stretching it outside of that, definitely painting, because we've done a few murals for a number of different companies and churches and things like that. So that's about as far outside of what I can do that I'll go.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at the one that you posted earlier this month of it looks like it was a kid's bedroom with the PNC Park.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. And
yeah, that was me. That was me and my art teacher from high school. That's
awesome.
Mike Short. Yeah, that was really cool. That was just a fun one, PNC Park. But we've done like all kind of stuff, like a big backdrop for a Bible camp and things, for churches, like just cool things like that are just a fun time for us.
I literally have no skill whatsoever.
That's what we're learning very quickly on here.
Here's the last one I wanted to show you.
There you go. That's what I was gonna say, is like not even just like athletes and stuff either. I saw a couple other pieces, which you'll all see if you guys go on the portraitsbynicholson.com. But yeah, like I saw the Post Malone one. That one's sick. Like I'm a huge Post Malone
Mac
fan
Miller,
too. So
big Pittsburgh people.
Obviously.
Justin Timberlake.
Yeah. Basically,
on the website, who's the one next to Justin Timberlake? I can't figure out who that is.
I'm assuming Thomas Rhett. I don't have the website.
Yeah, there's big hair that's up.
So what you'll see on that site too is as of right now, there's just a little section where you can go into if you have questions for me, if you want to just submit that forum. So I do custom work, and if you come to me and you say, "Oh man, I'm moving out of my house, we're never going to see it again. I would love to give it as a gift for my mom, like a picture of it." Well, make it a drawing, reach out, and so people will come to me and say, "Hey, big time Post Malone fan, can you do this for me for my sister's birthday or whatever?" And I can get it done. So definitely the custom thing too is big for my career right now. But at the same time, I'll randomly draw people like The Rock just because the picture's cool and I love The Rock. So
now, obviously, the dream is to be able to. Is that just what you're doing right now? I mean, did you go to school past high school, or like what's your career? Is it this right now?
No, my career currently, I'm working in insurance.
Okay.
Just getting the bills paid. Yeah. But for right now, I'm really just trying to go after this full-fledged, if that makes sense. I mean, I know kind of what I have, and I know what work is going to be required of me, if that makes sense. And I'm more than willing to just keep on going. I mean, that's the advice Cody told me was, hey, you just keep on doing what you're doing and things will happen,
I'd say very different avenues, obviously, but that's kind of where we're at as well. We'd like for this to end up being what we're doing full time, but we obviously have other things that need to pay the bills and such.
Yeah, right. It's funny. My mom the other day, I was like, she was like, I thought that because I'm in school right now. She's like, I thought that finishing school was the goal, and I'm like, no, that's a goal, but it's not the goal. There's a difference.
Exactly.
I had something that I wanted to ask you, and I just forgot as we were talking.
Well, I just want to say, I love all your pieces that I see up here, but if I got to pick what's my favorite right now, and I don't know if it's just because I collect baseball cards, and I have a few Roberto Clemente cards, but that Roberto Clemente picture, I think looks very good just because it reminds me of it could be a portrait on a baseball card. Because there's baseball cards that have that sort of style with them as well, and it looks exactly like that.
Yeah, appreciate that. That's definitely a fan favorite. for sure. First of all, everyone loves Clemente. I mean, he's my favorite pirate too of all time, and that was drawn from my fiance's dad, so soon to be father-in-law, and he loves it. You know, he has it up in his house and everything. But it's funny because I drew that one a good at least 3 years ago, and I did things after that one that I failed miserably at, and I had to throw them away. And I look back now, and like I even see the difference in, I don't know if it's just my eyes or if everybody can see it, but just like that slight difference in style that one has as opposed to the ones I'm doing now. And it just has something about it that's like just different. Like you said, a baseball card, you know. So people are
like when I say like I have Roberto Clemente cards, like I have Roberto Clemente cards back from the 50s and 60s, and so like that it looks like it fits that time period to me.
Yeah.
When you're comparing it to the other styles of all the other ones, that one just like stands out. That it looks different and it fits Roberto Clemente's time period when he was playing.
Cool, appreciate that, man.
So I know that you said when I asked that the Hayward piece was probably, did you say that was your favorite one or your best one? Or both?
Probably both. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was gonna say, if it's your favorite one, which one did you think was your best? If it was your best, which one do you think is your favorite? But if it falls in line with both those things, I guess we have our answer right there.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely that's probably yeah, best and favorite, but at the same time the yellow Sid, just for some reason the yellow jersey one. That one, I don't know what it was. I did that for my neighbor who has it hung in his basement now, and he's thrilled with it. And when I was done, like I literally came up from work and drew for like 6 hours a night because I was so excited to keep doing it. And something about that one too, I love.
Yeah, you mentioned the color popping. I think on that one, that's what it is for me. It's just that yellow just pops off the page.
The picture that I was using, he was actually wearing their away white jersey and helmet.
Oh.
And I was like, you know what? I just finished this Yager, right? And he's got the white helmet.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? That white helmet was annoying. I'm gonna make it yellow. And it was the last second decision, and just went at it, and turned out pretty cool.
Now, I'm sure that you have pretty high standards for yourself when it comes to your work. So, how often do you have a piece that you like don't even like yourself, and you're like, I'm not even putting this out?
The cool thing with colored pencils, it's all about layers, and I get you can't erase and things like that, but you just have to kind of learn to be careful. So if I'm like I'm currently drawing a Kobe Bryant one, right? And I started it, and it did not look like Kobe, and I was getting real irritated and flustered with it. This was just a week ago. Like, this happens a lot. But, the more you add layers, the more you keep on going. Like, any artist will tell you, it's a process. Like, over time, it will continue to pop over time. So I will say I have failed several times. I mean, the yellow Sid, I literally like broke it in half because I was so frustrated because I couldn't do it. And then it just like out of nowhere, started working out the next canvas I picked up. So it's hard to kind of say that, I completely quit because a lot of times it's just about the layers. You just got to keep on going. I can usually figure it out, but I do fail a good bit, as anybody would.
I was going to ask, you said you're working on the Kobe piece right now. I was about to ask if there was anything that you're currently working on or like have in the works.
Literally this.
Oh, wow.
So that's
insane though.
See, like even that little bit is so much more skill than I could ever have picking up a pencil.
And how long have you been working on that so far? And you have that part of it done?
That's I'd say that's about 4 or 5 hours or so.
That's crazy.
But yeah, I drew the two eyes and the nose and like an eyebrow, and I was like pretty irritated with it. I didn't think it looked great, but it's starting to kind of come together, and I'm doing it with him with a little bit longer hair, like more of the afro, and then I'm putting number 8 on him, hands down.
How often are you sharpening these pencils?
Oh. Here's my big sharpener filled with dude, it's every, if I sharpen it, it's every minute or two.
I was gonna say, because I'm looking at some of the. Don't mind, I'm not being rude by like looking over. I'm looking at all the art pieces. because I've got multiple monitors, and like I'm looking at the Hayward one, for example, and I'm just looking at his hair and his beard and like all the little detail in it, and even like hairs in his beard that are going the wrong way and like not just following the right flow pattern. Like I imagine like everything has to be like your pencils have to be perfect for every little thing that you do.
Yeah, and they definitely have to be sharp. And for a while there, I was using a manual sharpener. I was using this, and it took me. I'd be sitting there for far too long, and then
like you're in elementary school again.
I was finally like, all right, I'm running to Staples and getting a nice one, and it's been a world changer. Just pop it in every 2 seconds, and it's nice and sharp for me. But it's definitely essential to have a sharp pencil because if it's too fat, it'll just smear, and a bunch of shavings go everywhere. It's not good.
Now, right now, is the Kobe piece is just something you wanted to do, right? That's not like a request from somebody else.
Yeah. I did a Kobe a few years ago, which I believe is on my site actually. Or actually, it was right around when he passed away. And I just feel like I remember looking at it one day and I said, I think I can make it better. And so just one of those little personal things where I was like, I just want to make it better. And plus a lot of people would love to have a picture of Kobe hanging up in their place or whatever. I mean, I know he was one of the big reasons I fell in love with basketball as a kid. So I just wanted to do that for fun and throw it on the site and see how many other people appreciate it as well.
Now, you don't do like multiple projects at a time, right? Like Kobe would have your undivided attention until you start working on the next piece.
Actually, I do a couple at the same time.
Interesting.
To throw, for example, if I'm like you just pointed out, the hair with Cam or with his dad, it's so meticulous, and sometimes you can get a little bit like, all right, I'm starting to get a little flustered here, like I got to do something different. And so there's times where as of right now, I'm doing a Kobe, and then I'm drawing a dog for a client of mine. So like just doing two different things, two different techniques and things, just to kind of keep myself on my toes.
Right. Nice. What else? There was something else as I was asking that I was like, I want to ask him. Oh, I guess that answers the other part of it, because I was just saying, if you're working on something that's just like a personal piece that you want to do, and somebody were to make like a custom request, that would, I assume, would take precedence over whatever you're working on.
Absolutely, yeah. I'll always, like, if I'm doing a piece that I want to do, like this Kobe one, I will always be supplementing that with whatever. I'm always putting the business first. For especially a lot of times people come to me with deadlines and they say like, hey, I can really need this by May 1st or whatever.
Oh yeah, true.
So I do my best to do that. So yeah, I'll work on a couple different pieces at once, but definitely business first, top priority.
Like, and when you're moving on to the next piece, do you have like a downtime in between, or you just jump from one to the next one, or like does something have to pop into your head where like all of a sudden you're like, okay, now I'm going to do this?
I'm pretty much always ready to go. I mean, there's times where, if I finish a big piece, like when I finished that Sid one, I want to say I took a couple days off, just so I know I'm in the right mind. I mean, if I come down here and I start drawing things that, and I'm not like in the best mood or I'm frustrated or whatever, it doesn't turn out the best. I kind of have to be in the right mood. But honest to God, when I go sit at work for 40 hours a week and sitting in that chair, I'm just like antsy. I'm like, all right, I'm ready to get home and do this again. So it's not hard for me to be motivated to keep on going. And like I said, it's not a chore for me at all. It's fun. Like I love to do this, and it's something I choose to do even on weekends and stuff like that.
Right. Tyler, do you have anything else?
Do you know if
are you just looking on the site right now?
Yeah, I've literally been looking away from what we're doing right now just because I'm on your website the entire time.
Do you guys have like my Twitter and Instagram handles like anywhere on this, or can I?
I don't know if you can see the ticker, but it's coming across the ticker at the beginning for everybody to follow your Twitter. Instagram though, what's your Instagram?
Instagram is Alex_Nicholson 6.
Everybody go follow, and I'm not even sure. What were you saying though, Tyler? You said you're still on the site.
Oh, I'm just still on the side. I'm wondering, has anyone? So obviously Cam has seen the drawing you did of him, and has that. But has anyone else like noticed your drawing that you've done of them?
I've had a good bit of like evidence that they did, if that makes sense. So I mean, Cam took a picture with it. I know when I actually had I've been having conversations with whoever's running Big Ben's account.
Okay. Yeah.
Messaging on Twitter, and they actually gave me a they wrote an article on me on his website. It's bigben7.com. So and whoever runs that Twitter was like, yeah, he kind of has to give me consent to do these things. So Ben has seen it. And then I'll get like random retweets and likes and stuff from whoever I draw, like Lemieux Foundation liked it, just things like that, but really not much other than Cam.
Well, I'm sure that a lot of people will be noticing sooner than later, because I mean this is great stuff.
Yeah, we'll try to use the limited connections we have to continue to push your work as well.
Is there anyone that you? Okay, so obviously you're working on the Kobe piece right now, but is there any other Pittsburgh athletes, or not even just athletes, Pittsburgh related people that you are looking forward to drawing that you want to draw on your own?
Yeah, I want to draw Gino. I haven't done that yet. I drew a ton of Sids. He's my favorite athlete of all time. So, but I drew a ton of Sids, a ton of Marios, but I haven't done Gino yet, and I really want to do that. I got started on a Chris Letang a little while back, and I would like to finish that one too. If there's any other,
if we can get one with a Rust stash, Brian Rust, we can make sure that he sees that one.
Absolutely,
that's our guy right there.
I'll do what I can to make him see that for sure. Oh, that'd be hilarious.
It's we go back and forth every once in a while, and I messaged him. He scored a hat trick actually when we were in attendance just a couple weekends ago, and I was messaging with him after. And one of those goals was scored on the Big Mac attack. So I said, "Hey, thanks for the free Big Mac, pal." And he said, "It's always a pleasure."
Very nice. All right, then maybe I'll draw him up and give him the little stash.
That's he hates that, by the way. He doesn't want to have just the mustache. He's not a fan of it, but
I know I've heard he's embarrassed. Did you see?
I think it looks good.
Well, yeah, I think it looks good too. Yeah, I mean, he's good. He came across the when he scored a goal that game. I think it was that game, one of the three. Did you see him? He was giving everyone a high five doing this.
Yeah.
Covering his stash.
It almost looked like he was doing a dab.
Yeah, you want to see it.
But anyway, yeah, if you want to throw your socials out there one more time, and of course we'll keep the portraits by Nicholson in the comments there, and of course tweet it out when we wrap up here.
Oh yeah. Twitter @anicholson6. Go ahead and give that a follow. Instagram Alex_Nicholson6, and then obviously the website portraitsbynicholson.com.
Very good, very good.
Awesome.
Tyler, you don't have anything else, Tyler?
Nope, I'm still admiring the artwork. I'm thinking there's a couple that I'm looking that I really want to have. So,
heck yeah.
And like I said, I want to reach out to you after this because I definitely want to purchase one for myself, but I also want to do a giveaway for one of our listeners / viewers. So, I'll reach out to you when we finish up here and we can work on that.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it.
All right, Alex. We'll have to get you back on too when you do a couple more pieces. Maybe when you finish that the Brian Rust one in the future, we'll get you back on here and you can show it to us.
Absolutely, I'll do that for sure.
All right, man. It's been great talking to you. Portraits by Nicholson. This is Alex Nicholson. Great talking to you, and we'll talk to you next time.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks again. Really appreciate it.
All right, man.
Thank you.
All right, let me get us back to equal size here, so I'm not taking up too much of everybody's screen. That was Pittsburgh artist Alex Nicholson. Great guy, great artist. I mean, like you said, I'm just in awe sometimes when I see. It
really makes you appreciate the talent that people have. Whenever you look at,
when it's so much more than you. Yeah.
Yeah, they look at what they can do with a pencil, and then what you can do with a pencil. And I look like a toddler drawing with a pencil. I mean, my sister. I mean, I won't say she's on this scale, but she's pretty good at painting and drawing and stuff like that as well. And she's immensely better than me. But I mean, he's even way beyond her. So
that's how I feel about my dad. Like he's nothing close to what Alex is, but he's miles better than me. It's funny that he said about like drawing tattoos for people because my dad has drawn all my tattoos. I wonder what Alex could whip up for me. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of talent in Pittsburgh. Clearly.
That's for sure. Yeah, between him and Cody Sable, they got the art scene on lock. And I'm sure there's more people too. That's the thing. That's just two people. We don't even know. There's probably so many undercover talented people. But hey, that's why they're coming on here to highlight it a little bit. Whatever we can do to get the people to find out about these people. Anyway, so we are going to talk some Pirates. We are going to talk some Penguins. We're not going to talk about the Steelers at all. However, we will be on Thursday, April 29th for the first round of the NFL draft. So let me play something for you guys, and then I want to show you something. Thursday, April 29th. The draft starts at 8 p.m. I realized I put the exact same time on that little flyer, if you will. However, we will probably go live a few minutes before the draft itself starts just to, settle in. We are going to have some guests on that night for sure. We also are going to be doing giveaways, and I want to figure out some cool ways to do them as well. I'll probably do ones like, maybe one being just like an Instagram exclusive one being like a YouTube exclusive, but whatever it might be. Alex Highsmith signed 8x10. Obviously, it's a transformation picture going from Charlotte to the Steelers. Also, bam, Zach Banner, 8x10. And then I got a Cam Hayward. Speaking of Cam Hayward, this is the home jersey. And this is the Color Rush one. So 2 Cam Hayward jerseys autographed. I should have mentioned that. I don't know if I did. Kevin Dodson, just last year's draft class. I know you guys see the number. Nice. And then James Washington as well. All autographed jerseys. And then we have also one of our Twitter followers wants to do a giveaway that night as well. We're going to let you in on what that is yet. And then, just like we did last year, somebody that guesses the correct first draft selection of the Steelers is going to win that player's jersey. Now, we're assuming multiple people are going to guess correctly on the first player, so move to the second player, so on and so forth until it's just one person remaining. Last year, somebody got it within 2 picks, so Claypool and Highsmith back-to-back, which don't know how that happened.
The fact that was a second and third round pick and not like a first and second round pick is crazy to me because the first round pick, I mean, it's kind of looking closer and closer. Obviously, this is not the Steelers show, but it's looking closer and closer that it's going to be Najee Harris or Travis Etienne that they pick. And so that one might be obvious, but then the tiebreaker could be a lot harder.
Right. But okay, let's talk some Bucs. They're playing right now. They actually got the lead, scored the first runs this year on Joe Musgrove, who hadn't given up a run coming into today. He gave up a solo homer to Gregory Polanco. And you guys heard me say that when Alex was on here because I was just like taken aback. I looked up and see Greg running the bases. But anyway, so finally something along the lines as far as D. Brian Hayes returning. Today, doing some fielding drills. He actually swung a bat a little bit as well. And that's the big thing to me is that he wasn't swinging a bat yet. So finally, for him to swing a bat in any capacity, that's good news.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the Pirates have been performing better as of late than when we last talked about them. But getting your star player back is definitely a good thing. And whenever we talked about him last time, he literally had no news whatsoever. It had been like 4 or 5 days since the injury. So the fact that he's been able to swing a bat, and I saw he was throwing a little bit before today, but it wasn't his throwing wrists. And so swinging a bat with the motion, I feel like that's a big indicator that wrist is feeling a lot better. So hopefully in the next few days, they're able to implicate him, get back in the lineup.
Now, here's the interesting thing about the whole Brian Hayes thing. I don't think we're going to spend too much time talking about the Pirates. There's just really not much to talk about. But the guy that's been primarily playing over there since his injury, Phillip Evans, you got to find a way to keep him in the lineup even when Hayes comes back, I think.
I don't know what do you do with that? Can he play anywhere else in the infield? Like, can he play second or
He can play yeah, he can play pretty much. He can play the infield besides short, and he can play the outfield besides center.
Okay. Because
he gives you that versatility. Like,
yeah,
I think you have the option. I threw out the option of, I know that everybody's first instinct is get Polanco out of the lineup. However, with what we're getting in center field right now, my first option would be to put Reynolds back in center and put Evans in left field when Hayes comes back.
Yeah, dude. Anthony Alford. I don't know if you have to try to be this bad as an MLB player. 15 strikeouts and 19 at bats. Doesn't have a hit yet.
It's got to be up there for the worst starts
ever
we've seen. Yeah,
I would say ever. Not having a hit through 20 at bats. I asked the other night when we were at the game, has he even made contact? And Sarge told me that he fouled off a ball. So I'm like, okay, I guess he ticked the ball, but he ticked it. You're still fat. But yeah, that would be the way I would move too. Anthony Alford, I don't know what's going on. I guess he just keeps playing because they need someone to play center field. But
listen, I like right now it's between him and Fowler, just depending on if it's a righty or lefty. Mm-hmm. I don't think you can keep doing it with that platoon. Fowler, he's not really giving you much. It's obviously more than what Alford is. I just think it's time, man. I know that we're biased, but see what Jared's got. He's down in Florida right now working on something along with Cole Tucker. They're both in Florida right now working on something, but I don't know what else they need to see from Alford to realize they got to give somebody else a shot.
Dare I say I would rather have Cole Tucker playing center field again than having Anthony Alford in center field. But yeah, that makes a good point. We've got our buddy Jared sitting down there. We saw him play last year. And the big difference between him and Alford? Jared got a hit. So at least offensively production, I don't really see a downside to it. We know Jared has defense as well. So I feel like at some point with both those guys not performing up to stuff, at least maybe what people would hope. Because
they got Goodwin down there as well, I think would be an option. Potentially even before Jared, I think they might give Goodwin a look.
Alford, he's played in 8 games, batting 0, 15 strikeouts. Dustin Fowler, he's played in 12 games, and he's batting 174. He's got 4 hits in 12 games.
Yeah, it's bad enough, when obviously everybody in the outside starts talking about it. But it's gotten to the point where Derek Shelton, your manager, has acknowledged how bad he's been at the plate. It said that they felt like, him and the hitting coach were working with him a lot, and they thought they found something that would maybe help him break out of this. And we've played 2 games since that statement was made, and we haven't seen any signs of that being the case.
Yeah, something's got to be done. Although, to be fair, the rest of the team, because when we last talked about the Pirates, we were only talking about the only people that have really done anything were Colin Moran and Phillip Evans, and Reynolds a little bit as well.
I think you got to throw Jake Stallings into that mix now.
Yeah, Jacob Stallings. Is he like a top half catcher in the league?
I think so. I think he is for just his defense alone. But when you factor in how good he's been at the plate, especially against lefties, he's killing lefties this year, and he did for a good portion of last year as well. I don't see a way that he's not a top 15 catcher right now, and you almost wonder. He is a guy that he's not young by any means. He's a late bloomer. He's in his early 30s, I believe. I think he's like 30, 31. Is he – we have nothing in terms of catching in our minor league system right now, or I'd probably say, do you think that – and it still might be the case. Do you think he's a trade piece for them, the deadline?
I feel like if the price is right, like if you get the deal that's right, he has to be. Like you said, after him – there's really nothing in the system as far as catchers go. I don't know if that's going to be an emphasis on maybe this upcoming draft or in a trade at some point. But once he's gone, there's really nothing there. The cabinet's kind of bare.
Here's the thing that I would like. I think that they would have to be like, this is a deal that we can't turn down, because as much as for like we talk about it being overblown in terms of like veteran leadership or just having like one or two guys like that on the team, I think that it is important for building a culture, and I'd much rather have that be in the form of Jacob Stallings than say a Gregory Polanco or, Adam Frazier, who's one of the longer tenured Pirates now, or Chad Cole or Stephen Brault. Like, if we're going to keep one of those guys around, give me Jacob Stallings.
For sure. But Adam Frazier, he's another guy that has upped his game a little bit since we last talked about him. He's now batting 270. I mean, we've got multiple guys that upped their at least offensive production.
You know what? I don't think his batting average is that great yet. And, we always talk about batting average not really being the end be all for hitters anyway. But, like, Eric Gonzalez all of a sudden has started to put together some pretty decent at-bats.
Yeah. Egon, he's looking pretty good. I mean, his batting average is like 241, which, I mean,
but it was 160 a couple games ago.
Yeah, exactly. So it's on the up and up. Wilmer Defoe, he's still batting like close to 300. Colin Moran, 282. Phillip Evans, 380 something.
Phil Evans is fourth in the National League in hitting right now.
Yeah. I mean, Reynolds is like at like 318 or something like that. That's getting back to what he was his rookie year.
Yeah. And see, that's what we're talking about. Like, we don't expect the Pirates to be good, but that's like stuff that you want to see is Reynolds getting back to his 2019 form, because hopefully he's like that second piece next to Key Bryan for the long term.
I mean, he's one of the only people that come trade deadline time is on the quote unquote untouchables list, I would say. Not that he's untouchable, but like you're not looking to move him.
Yeah.
Literally anybody else, like besides Bryan and Reynolds, and I feel like at least right now you could throw Evans in there for how he's been performing, but everyone else on the team, if they have any value, you look at moving them. I
want to talk about a couple of guys in the rotation. One, we saw the performance live, and then the following day, another pretty solid performance. Mitch Keller and JT Brubaker. Those are two guys we brought up on here just the last time we talked about the Pirates, because I said I was starting to feel like Brubaker is the pitcher to watch this year over Mitch Keller. Like, going into the season, it was, is Mitch Keller to take that next leap and look like the pitcher that we kind of need him to be going forward? But Brubaker had looked like the more promising guy. And then they both had pretty solid starts. I thought Keller pitched pretty well when we were there. Brubaker looks pretty good on the mound while having a blister, but also adds 3 RBIs to his total. I mean, I don't know what you make of the starting pitching right now, because honestly, everybody's last time out besides Chad Cole has looked pretty decent. Even Anderson tonight, as we're sitting here recording this, has looked okay.
Yeah, and I feel like that's all we can really ask for. We knew it wasn't going to be great coming into the season, so any little bright spots in the rotation would be a good thing, especially from guys like Keller, who you hope is like a pitcher for the future. And yeah, the past couple starts have looked pretty good. I mean, Keller got through 5 innings when we saw him. Only gave up the 1 run, and then Brubaker the other night gave up 1 run himself. That's really not much more that you can ask for from these starting pitchers to take you through games. They're giving their team a chance to win, which is the most you can expect from a starting pitcher, especially what we were expecting from this team in the pitching category, at least starting pitching category going into the season. I'll be happy if they only give up 1 run a night.
Yeah, and especially like when we were actually, not that I'm like a huge Stephen Brault guy, but he was supposed to be in the rotation, and then all of a sudden, like a week before the season starts, he gets put on the 60-day IL. So knew we weren't going to have him, but yeah, if the starter goes into the 6th inning, pretty much I'm like, okay, that's a solid start, because I guess it's just lowered expectations on our end. But yeah, I think it's a good sign for Mitch Keller what he was able to do, and I think it was important when Shelton took him out of that game to make sure that his confidence like didn't crumble. Like, get him out while he's still looking good, let him know that he did what he needed to do, and hopefully build his confidence up. Yeah,
the video that I think Dahan posted of Shelton giving Mitch Keller a hug and like slapping him on the chest, like that's what you want to see from your managers, like supporting these guys, letting them know like, hey, I got your back. And you went out there and performed, did your job, good job. So yeah, that was awesome to see. And I think the only thing that I would say for some of these starting pitchers is like you really have no expectations for them because of what the team is. I mean, they're not a great team, so you don't have an expectation that these starting pitchers are going to be amazing. So what I would love to see from guys like Keller, Brubaker, everyone else, is just go out there and just punch everybody in the mouth. Like I want to see like this pitching staff have like a AJ Burnett kind of attitude or Joe Musgrove kind of attitude. Because that's the best way that you're going to perform, I feel like. And especially Mitch Keller. I feel like he needs to have that sort of attitude. Like, hey, I'm the guy, I'm the man, and I'm going to make you sit down. And I think that if he does that, his pitching will be at his best we've seen.
Yeah, and I'll say it again. I just want to see them attack hitters. Like, I would rather them give up rockets, but trust their stuff and still be willing to attack the zone as opposed to nibbling and just walking guys around the base.
Exactly.
Because they're afraid of getting hit.
I feel like if you have that attitude, like that confident attitude, like you can be like, "Hey, I'm daring you to hit this ball. I'm gonna throw it right at you. You got to hit it."
Yeah, and you'll either prove that your stuff is good enough to pitch at this level, or you don't belong here by doing that. But
either
if you
way,
just keep walking guys, it's just gonna, yeah. That's pretty much it for Pirates talk. Unless you got anything more.
No, I mean they've won multiple games since the last time we talked. They won a series against the Cubs. One against the Padres last night. They currently lead on the Padres right now. So it's not all doom and gloom like it was like the first week of the season. Mm-hmm. But obviously we know this team isn't so great, but it's nice to see some upside to this team. Being able to see them win.
Yeah. You want to see them compete, and in games where they have a chance to win, you would like to see them treat it like a game that they should win and not, be like some of the fan base in tank mode, if you will.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to lie. If they lose a game, I'm not upset by it. I'm like, it is what it is.
Treat it as a win-win scenario, I guess.
Yeah. Like, I want them to win. I want them to win every game. But if they lose every game, I'm not going to be as upset either.
So, yeah, we're going to switch over and talk about the Pens. As always, though, we'll be back in 30 seconds. All right, so let's talk about the Pens. I mean, first thing that we got to talk about, obviously, the acquisition. The Pens acquired Jeff Carter from the LA Kings for a conditional third and fourth round pick. What are the years on those? Is it the third and 2022?
2022 third and 2023 fourth.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know we're sitting there. And first off, the name Jeff Carter kind of just came out of nowhere. I mean, that wasn't a name really that I had
wasn't even on the radar.
That I had saw linked to the Penguins, but apparently they've been in on him for about a month or so. So it makes sense when you look at the guy. He has next year on his deal. LA willing to retain 50% of his salary. He's getting up there in age, so obviously he'd like to win another cup. Has the Hextall, ties. So it all makes sense. It just wasn't a name that we thought of.
No. And maybe that's just a way that Hextall is keeping things close to the chest. You don't really get.
There you go. There's a perfect example of something we talked about.
Yeah, you don't really get the names out there. It's not like Jim Rutherford. I feel like Jim Rutherford would.
This is who I'm going to get.
This is who I'm going to get, and I'm going to give up a first-round pick and a prospect for him. I'm happy that didn't happen. I mean, the trade itself, I honestly love it. You get the depth piece that we were looking for because we've been talking about the whole season that we're looking for a guy that fill in that middle six. Jeff Carter is exactly what that is. And the fact that you were able to do that, and I don't want to say you gave up nothing, but when you're giving up a conditional 2022 third and fourth round pick, that's not really much in terms of trade value. So, and
if it becomes something more, it's good because that means we won the cup.
Exactly. And or I think at least for the third round pick, that means we went to the cup.
Yeah.
But the fact that they were able to pull off that trade and get LA to retain the salary, so his salary cap for the Penguins is a little over $2.6 million. I am perfectly fine with that. I love this trade. I think that Jeff Carter is going to be a good piece for the Penguins because I think that a lot of people like the reaction I saw. I mean, there were people like that loved the trade and were excited for Jeff Carter. And then there were people like, oh, he's old, he's washed up, he's on the Kings, they suck, he's slow. Well, first off, when people said he's slow, that's just not true.
Yeah, he can.
I mean, even look at some of the goals that he scored this year. I mean, he's pulling away from defenders. He still got a step, which would fit in well with these Penguins. And I got to say, with some of the other names that the Penguins are connected to, like a day or two before the deadline, like Nicolas Deslauriers, I will take Jeff Carter 100 times out of 100 over a guy like Nicolas Deslauriers.
Yeah, I think the big thing, and you might have alluded to, is, he's a guy that can move up and down the lineup, but he can also do so while playing multiple positions. He can play center, he can play left wing, he can play right wing. I think that's the most important thing for them is right now without Gino, he can play in a, second line center capacity, but he could play on the wing for Gino too. If that's the route they decide to go to try to keep McCann, Zucker, and Evan Rodriguez together when, you have Malkin and Kapanen back. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do, but he gives them options. And I think that's the most important thing for them. And I also think the reason that it got the reception it might have from some people is probably the Patrick Marleau effect from last year. People thinking it's just like a mirror image of that deal, but it's not. Like we said, this guy can still move. He has 19 points this year in 40 games for LA, and that's playing with much worse line mates than what he's going to have here. I think he's going to be a nice addition for the second power play as well, potentially. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think first off, his game is very simple, and that's we can talk about this, we want to see them do or what they will do when they have a fully healthy lineup. Hopefully that happens. We don't even know if that's going to be the case. Mm-hmm. But in an ideal world for me, he's playing on Malkin's wing. And I say that because I think he plays a very simple game. It's straight line and speed, and it's shooting pucks at the net. And I just think playing with Gino, he would be like an older version, obviously, at this point in his career, of what we saw in James Neal. I think his game is pretty similar to his.
Yeah, he could fit in multiple roles. And just the fact that, I mean, his entire career, for the most part, he's played center. But over the past couple of years, and especially this year, he's been playing on the wing, I think, almost entirely.
And left wing. And that's the important thing to me.
Yeah. So he could play on either wing or center. He could play on the second, third line. And I saw today that he was working with the penalty kill against the power play units. So yeah. I guess they're seeing if that's an element of his game that he can add as well. I'm just really excited for this guy. It's funny because if you would have said a month ago, hey, the Penguins are going to trade Jeff Carter, I mean, like, I mean, that's not bad, but I feel like we could do better. But then I look at what like a couple of these teams gave up for a couple of players, like the Anthony Mantha trade. That's a guy that we talked about a lot going into this trade deadline. And looking at what the Capitals had to give up to get Anthony Mantha, I'm really happy that we went the route with Jeff Carter.
Yeah, so, I mean, trying to relate that to the Pens, I mean, who would that essentially be like trading? I don't want to say Brian Rust. I think Brian Rust is a better player, and he's got better numbers than Vrana. But maybe if Kapanen was healthy, it would be like him.
Yeah, I mean, especially since the Penguins traded a first-round pick for Kapanen.
Yeah,
and more. It would probably be similar to that because I'm thinking of like a young guy, but that's not like too good because you couldn't say like Rust or Gensel. He's exceeded that. Both of those players have exceeded that level.
Yeah, I think, and I get it.
And maybe.
He's even producing at a better level than Vrana this year. But yeah, I think that you break it down into two separate deals, and it's like they gave up the second to get Detroit to take on Richard Panik's contract, and then they gave up the first and Vrana for Mantha. And even with that, I'm not on board with like Mantha being a first-round pick plus better than Jacob Vrana. Like, maybe it's because I'm so high on Vrana. I don't know, but
listen,
I like Mantha too.
Vrana's an RFA, so maybe the Capitals weren't sure that they could get him to sign a deal. But I feel like you could get Vrana to sign for $5.7 million or less. And I just think that eventually, maybe not right now, he might not be better than Anthony Mantha, but I feel like eventually he could be.
He's
So
never going to be like as big bodied, obviously. But
yeah. But I wasn't in love with that deal. Like, if you're asking me a winner of that trade, obviously, if the Capitals won the Stanley Cup at any point when Mantha's on the team, they won the trade. But on the surface, I would say Detroit won the trade, just because of the package that they got. But back to the Penguins, the fact that I saw who said it. I saw someone tweet it. That they were calm during the trade deadline because Jim Rutherford wasn't making the moves, and like Ron Hextall has a calming presence about being GM, and I really feel that. I was not worried that we were going to like overbuy on anybody.
yeah. And, if Rutherford was here, maybe he makes a move that, like, on the surface, we all get super excited about. But then maybe he makes a trade for Mantha. Who knows? But we would be like, wow, we gave up quite a bit there, and we didn't need to. Like, Jeff Carter just makes sense. He's the perfect piece. He's exactly what we were talking about. Somebody that can play in that middle six and has position versatility. And, it's hard not to like this trade. And bigger than acquiring a player, the outgoing pieces weren't substantial. And I think that's more important than anything.
Yeah, like I said, it's not like giving up nothing. Like, those picks aren't nothing. But compared to what you could have given up for somebody, it's essentially nothing. I think the biggest thing for me, and I tweeted this, the fact that they didn't give up their second-round pick this year, and obviously they were untouchable, but or give up Sam Poulin or Nathan Laguerre in a trade. Those are three of the biggest things to me. You keep the two top prospects in your system, and you keep the one draft pick you have this year that's in the higher rounds. So yeah, massive W. I'm excited to watch Jeff Carter play. And I love him in the Penguin uniform in practice, and seeing him missing his front two teeth. I don't think the Penguins have really had a player like that for a while. So it's kind of fun to see.
Let's talk about real quickly just the other name that we found out after the fact. Apparently they were in on Travis Zajac as well before he went to the Islanders. I don't know if that would have been instead of Jeff Carter or just even with the interest in Carter, the interest was also there for Zajac. I'm not sure, but when I found that out, I was kind of taken back because he doesn't seem like the type of guy that would fit what they were looking for, in my opinion.
No, I don't think so either. So
he is a little younger. I think he's 35 as opposed to 37. But
I think Carter's 36.
Oh, well, there you go.
So I mean, they're basically the same age, and he's 35 and 336 days. So he turns 36 in a month. They're basically the same age. But yeah, I mean, wouldn't really fit the role that they were looking for, and like points productions. Carter actually has one more point than him. So he's got one more goal than him. So I don't think it would have been a bad thing if the Penguins traded for him. But what did the Islanders even give up for? Because I know they got him and Paul Mary.
Yeah,
so that makes it no different.
It was a first of which they would have given up anyway. I think for Paul Mary, first, a fourth, and I don't know if it was one a prospect or two. Not much. I think it was a steal by the Islanders, and then to have the Devils GM come out and say that he hopes they get the last pick of the draft because he wants the Islanders to win the cup with those guys. I mean, I thought Jim Rutherford was their GM for a second.
Yeah. Just being nice.
What kind of statement is that?
I have no idea. It's one thing to like trade within the division, but then to say I want them to win the cup.
So of course, as with all good news, and we can get to that here in a second with Kapanen and Gino skating on their own. It sounds like Kapanen is probably going to be the first one back, which that was Hextall's statement. Kind of surprised me just as we have seen Gino skating for a little bit, but I guess maybe Kapanen won't require as much skating before being able to get into a contact jersey and then being able to come back. But so he's coming back, hopefully. Gino hopefully coming back at some point in the regular season. The guy that won't, it doesn't sound like, is Brandon Tanof.
Yeah. Whenever Hextall came out and said that, I was very disappointed, honestly. And not that I'm worried he won't come back in the playoffs because it sounds like he would, but the fact that you don't have that guy for the rest of the regular season, it's kind of a hit. And it's another reason that you got the depth within that middle six that you did. And there's some guys on this team that have stepped up and have been playing well, but none of them really quite replicate what Tanev brings to this team. just that constant motor, the speed, forechecking, back checking. And whenever that line plays together with Czar, Bluger, and Tanof, that's the best fourth line in hockey, you could argue. So the fact that they're going to be able to miss that for the last like month of the season isn't great. But hopefully he's ready by playoffs, like maybe round one, like before it even starts, so he can just
it just said he will be ready before the playoffs. So hopefully,
so I'm hoping that just means like round one he's ready to go.
Donnie said, at this moment, who would you say are your favorites to meet in the Stanley Cup Finals? Well, I'm telling you for sure, out of the West, for me, it's the Avalanche, and it has been all season, regardless of where they've been in the standings. But now they're actually at the top of the standings, so I'm justified in thinking that. I think they're so good. I mean, when you have Nathan McKinnon, obviously, but like top to bottom, they have a really good roster. Obviously, one of the best young defensemen in Cale Makar, and they are maybe overachieving in net to a degree, but they're finally getting the biggest thing that we thought they needed to become Stanley Cup contenders in net with really solid goaltending. And then in the, I said in the West, but I'm talking about traditionally in the West. Man, I don't know how they're doing it, man, but even like pre-Mantha trade, the Caps have just been so good all year, and now they got Mantha, and it's funny because we just said they may be like overpaid, but they're still a better hockey team, I think, right now than they were before. So it's hard not to say those two right now, but don't get me wrong. I think that the Penguins Tampa Bay could get back there easily. I'm still not sold on Florida, regardless of what they do in the regular season. I don't know what to think about the Leafs either, even though they're putting up points like crazy, just because I want to see them play teams outside of Canada.
There's no defense up north, so it's hard to judge what those guys are doing.
But I think the Avalanche are the best team in hockey right now.
So do I. If I'm picking a Stanley Cup winner, not even just who's playing in it, that's my winner right now. Yeah. But if I'm picking who's playing in it, I feel like I got to pick one of the top three teams in the East Division. Penguins, Islanders, or Capitals. I just feel like all three of those teams have been playing the best at the moment out of the East and the Central Division. The Lightning are still a very good team. Carolina's a very good team. Florida's good, but I just feel like they've been more inconsistent, which is funny. We're talking about inconsistencies watching the Penguins first half of this season, but over the past month and a half, the way they've been able to pick up their game and the way the Islanders are coached. I mean, they're just looking at the Islanders rosters. They don't really have. They have like one or two maybe like great players, and then the rest are really good players. And it's just their system is so well coached. And then the Capitals are the Capitals. I can't pick between one of those three. I guess I could say the Capitals right now just because they're on top of the table. But Capitals, Islanders, Penguins are one of those teams are going to the Cup final for me.
Paul Mary was the perfect addition for the Islanders too. I'm curious to see, because it very well could happen, us and the Islanders in the first round, how different it looks from the 2019 playoff series, because those aren't the same. I mean, it's not the same Pens team going into it. They're so much better on the back end. They got more depth at the forward positions.
We're not going to get swept.
They're faster. Yeah. I mean, you got more consistent goaltending up to this point as well. But it looks like we're on a collision course for another Caps Pens in the second round, and I'm not going to complain about that.
Yeah. I mean, looking at the way the Penguins have played the Capitals this year, the Penguins have had the upper hand. In the season bout. So I'm not going to say I'm scared of the Capitals. I'm never scared of the Capitals when I'm the Penguins. I feel like going into any game or especially any playoff series, take out 2018. I feel like I have the upper hand in every single series I go into with the Capitals, just because I feel like even though they won that series and won the Stanley Cup, the Penguins will be like, yeah, well, like, look at the history. I know they're different teams, but it's like, we typically dominate you. I mean, that's just how it's been.
And it's just fun hockey. I mean, obviously we want the Pens to win, but it's not like watching the Pens play the Islanders. We're like, if the Penguins lose, you at least feel like you were entertained watching good hockey.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Like you could have a game finish like 4-3 in overtime, and that'd be exciting. Penguins could lose 1-0 to the Islanders, and I just want to kill myself. So I just can't imagine being a fan of a team like that. It's just so boring.
Let's wrap up here. Oh wait, what is this? Only 16. Oh my god. Come on, Donnie. What are you bringing this in here for? Don't draft anybody from Alabama. Only succeed due to the system. To wrap up here, like I said, I wanted to get your thoughts on. Now, this is a big if because, like we talked about, we don't even know when or if Brandon Tanev's coming back. Hopefully, at some point in the playoffs. Hopefully, very early in the playoffs. But now with Jeff Carter in the fold, what would your ideal line combinations look like?
To start, I'm keeping the top line the same. Russ said Gensel. I think Jesse Marshall said it a couple days ago. They're getting to the point where they just make teams look silly out there. They can't keep up with them. So I'm keeping that line the same. And then when Geno comes back and Kapanen, everybody's healthy. Geno, Kapanen, Carter. I want Carter on the left wing to start out with Geno. Because I think the third line, you would have McCann, Zucker, and Rodriguez. And that's been your second line right now. And I think they've been playing pretty good together. So I would keep that together and just test out Carter playing with Geno and Kapanen. And if it doesn't work, then you can change the lines, put Zucker back up there, McCann be center and play with Jeff Carter. Carter could center and put McCann on the wing. Try anything out. But first, when everybody's healthy, Carter, Geno, Kapanen, Zucker, McCann, Rodriguez, and then you got that fourth line of Tanof, Blueger, and Zach Astor-Reese.
I think I'm in agreement with you from top to bottom. I mean, that's what I said. I think that Carter's game is just perfect to play alongside Geno, and so that's why I love the fact that he was playing left wing for LA. So I'm in full agreement with you. There's nothing really else to talk about there because that's how I would start it out too. I mean, we already know the chemistry you have on the top line. What McCann has done with Rodriguez and Zucker over these last few games, kind of not obviously to the same level as Sid and those guys, but the same thing. Like they're building chemistry. They look really good. I was asking Danny, actually, who's going to be coming on next week along with Danny and Jeff from Penn's blog, if he thought that this was really the Evan Rodriguez, like this is who he is as a player, or if he was overachieving right now. And he said, playing with the right guys, this is who he is as a player. And that's why the Pens, wanted to bring him back. So I think he's a fine bottom six player. I think he can play well in that role. And then the fourth line we already talked about. If you get those three back healthy, that's, as good of a fourth line as you'll find in hockey.
Yeah, and that's a big thing is getting everybody back healthy. And we can't expect that, especially looking at the way the season has gone. You can never expect to have a fully healthy lineup, especially going into playoffs. So I think that's just the fact that you have Carter, and then you've been able to have these guys come up from Wilkes-Barre and the taxi squad and be able to perform well themselves. You just sure up the depth of this team going towards the playoffs. Like you've got people like Angelo, Gaudreau. I mean, Gaudreau's hurt right now, but Zahorna. You have people that you can plug in and play when these people go down, and getting Carter just ensures that depth even more.
I'll tell you what, and it's not just because he scored 2 goals the other night. Colton Sevior hasn't been bad either. What we're starting to see from the bottom 6 guys recently, like even Sam Lafferty, he hasn't scored, but like he's at least creating chances. It's not
more
just
production
speed.
from him.
Yeah, it's not just him skating around fast, which is good.
Ever since I called them out, they must have listened to that show because they're like, okay, we got to prove this fat guy wrong.
Brian Russ must have passed along the show to them or something. Maybe they saw him wearing. They saw him wearing one of his articles of clothing, and they're like, "What is that?" And they looked it up.
They happened to see that show. They're like, all right, we got to prove Tubby wrong. Also, we questioned last week whether the little 2-game skid that the Penguins are on was just like a little fluke, or whether that's the way the Penguins are going. And since then, they won 3 games in a row. So, and I get it was 2 against the Devils and 1 against the Rangers, but the Rangers were also one of the teams that blew them out. And I don't think the Rangers are as bad as a team as people would like to make them think. I mean, they're ahead of the Flyers in the standings right now. They've got a lot of young core to build around, and so I think they're going to be pretty decent in a few years, but they're not a bad team to play. And I don't think the Devils, I mean, they're bad, but they're not the Sabres, so you can't really compare those two teams either. So, yeah, obviously the Penguins won 3 games in a row. Nothing really to worry about on that end. And then you got the game against the Flyers tomorrow night, and then 2 against the Sabres, 3 more against the Devils. I'm not going to say it's going to be an easy stretch in the lineup or in the schedule, but capitalize on the opportunity that you have in front of you.
Yeah. Real quick, just the Rangers, to me, they're actually one of the more fun teams to watch in the league. I mean, I think they're going to be really good. in a couple years.
Yeah, I think probably like 2 years or so. I think they're probably going to be contending for a playoff spot. I mean, not to say that they couldn't even now. I mean, they're
if they were playing this way the entire season, they'd be right there in the mix.
Yeah, but I mean, if Boston slides, and we
They're
didn't
better
even
than
mention
Philly.
Taylor Hall went to Boston for a bag of peanuts.
Yeah,
that's
I think that
crazy.
just goes to show you. I mean, like I wouldn't have traded a first for him. I mean, he's a free agent at the end of the year. I only got 2 goals this year, and I understand he's playing in Buffalo, but you also have to question, like, it starts to become a question about him, I think, as well, not just Buffalo, because you still have guys like Sam Reinhart who can produce there, and it's just he didn't want to be there, obviously, and you just start to question his work ethic a little bit, I think. But hey, who am I? We'll see what he does in Boston. But no, what I was going to say was they've jumped Philly now in the standings, so they're behind Boston, but they're kind of right there still. They're still playing meaningful hockey.
Yeah, I mean, there's not to say that Boston's a lock for the playoffs, but they could slide. I mean, we've seen their place slip as of late the past few weeks. And you know what? I'm tired of betting on Boston to win by 2 goals against the freaking Sabres, and they don't do it. They lost me some coins on Viget last night, and I was really pissed about it. Like, you're playing the Sabres. They're playing the worst team in hockey. Win by 2 freaking goals, you lousy franchise. Whatever.
What did you say you lost coins on?
Viget.
What is that?
Fun app. It's a fun app where it's like a social media app for sports betting.
Yeah, so Viget, you can download it, iOS or Android, whatever you might have, you can find it. It's like a social media aspect converting into betting, bringing the best of both worlds together. Use coins, not real money. You can win some great prizes. Download the Viget app wherever you can find your apps on your phone or tablet, whatever it might be. When you download it, it will ask you for a promo code. Use the word Crowworthy, CROWWORTHY, and then we can get you in the Around the 412 betting league.
Screw it a little bit. I got some more people in there. We want to get as many people as we can in there. Should be a lot of fun.
Other than that, if you don't have anything else, I'll tell them about our great sponsor, Keats Barbershop, and we can get out of here.
Go for it.
All right, Keats Barbershop. It's an old-fashioned barbershop. It's located at 180 Brighton Avenue in Rochester, PA. He's open 11 to 7 Tuesday through Friday and 10 to 4 on Saturday. Every Tuesday, there's $5 off for military personnel, first responders, and nurses. Again, that's Keats Barbershop, 180 Brighton Avenue, Rochester, PA.
One more thing before we wrapped up. I just thought of it as you were saying that. Can people stop getting mad that Jeff Carter's wearing 77? Listen, Paul Coffey was a great player for the Penguins, but he also played with 7 other teams.
7 other teams, yeah.
And he was with the Penguins for
less
4.5 years, and he won 1 cup. I get that. He was a great defenseman for the Penguins, but he's not retired, and no one's worn it since. So no one's worn it in the past almost 30 years. I think it's okay if Jeff Carter wears 77. It's not like he's wearing 66, people.
I'm trying to think of a comparison that we could see down the line. You think people would have an issue if somebody else wore 81?
I'm sure people would. I wouldn't, but I'm sure people would. Listen, Phil was a great player here. He won 2 cups with the team, but he's not one of these players where it's okay, you're not allowed to wear this number. Like Sid, Gino, Malkin, or I just said the same player, Letang. I mean, I would say 68, Yager. No one should wear 68 in a Penguins uniform. I think that number should be retired. But 77?
I mean, okay, hold on, wait. Just because
so
77, kind of the same time period there. What about 10? Right, Ronnie Francis. People have worn 10, and I would say,
yeah, I don't really care. Literally, there's only I would say minimum of 4 numbers and a maximum of probably 5 that you probably shouldn't wear. I mean, well, I guess technically they have Michel Briere, 21, retired as well. So there's 6 numbers that, in my opinion, you probably shouldn't wear. And 2 of them are retired already. I would say 68 with Yager, 87 with Sid, 71 with Gino, 58 Letang, and I would personally throw in 29 with Marc-Andre Fleury. I don't think anybody should wear that number anymore.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
he's the fringe one for me.
Yeah.
The other ones are like locks. No one should wear 58, 71, or 87 or 68.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough for him because I always debated, like, is he going to get his number retired by the Penguins? Because it's like he's one of the top goalies of all time, one of the top winning goalies of all time. He won 3 cups here, but he was only a starter for one of them. I mean, he was a starter for half of the playoffs in 2017.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a gray area for Fleury with me. But yeah, that's the only thing. But I feel like obviously he's got a lot of career left in him. But it's like if Gensel left the Penguins at some point, if someone else like 30 years later wore 59, I don't know if many people are going to be like free. I'm sure people would freak out about it, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Donnie, I'm glad that you clowned yourself because I wasn't going to say anything. He brought up Hossa, but he said about Phil restoring 81, but when Hossa was here, he wore 18. He switched to 81 when he went to other areas of the country.
Yeah.
But we don't want to talk about him leaving.
Biggest karma moment in sports history.
Anyways, all right. I'm ready to wrap this up. My back is killing me. This is the last time you'll see this setup, by the way. So soak it all in.
Yeah.
Will you say something else?
Nope, that was it. I just
right.
I just remembered the Jeff Carter thing. People freaking out about a number. Get over it, people.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to Around the 412. This has been a presentation of Crowworthy, where winners are serving winners coast to coast with sports, gambling, fantasy, and more. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Around the 412. Follow them at Crowworthy Takes, and visit the Pittsburgh City page at crowworthy.com for podcasts like this one, blogs by your boys and others, and so much more. Until next time, we'll talk to you then.